Alright, so now we're at the Emprah and the End. This has been a really good series. I've enjoyed this a lot. We're going to go ahead and jump into this. Of course, all of his information is going to be down below. I am going to be checking out his supplemental videos. And the next series I'm going to be checking out is going to be the Rogel Dorn series. I've just not been able to get back to this because obvious reasons the past couple of days. In any case, here we go.
Slowly but surely, the inquisitorial vessel floated towards its target. All systems ran at minimum to avoid detection in the tremendous battle that surrounded them. Inquisitor Culcus and Acolyte Demetrius stood on the bridge. "We're not getting out of this. Master, I just want you to be sure that you understood the sacrifice I'm making." I think I understand, Inquisitor Culcus. "Then make your peace with the Emperor, Acolyte. And let's finish this now. It won't be long." On the bridge of the vengeful Speargit, the Emperor of Orc kind and Orus Luterkill locked in deadly combat. They grappled with each other, their power claws hungrily trying to chomp into their enemy, their free arm holding them back. The power reactors on their custom mega armor whirred and black smoke belched forth from massive exhaust pipes mounted on their backs.
"You're a big git, Fate! Huh! Bigger than you! And stop calling me Fate!"
Orus slipped the Emperor's grip for a moment before smashing his fist across the Emperor's golden gob. The Orcish Imperator recovered quickly, ducking beneath his swiping claw and stepping forward into Horus with a mighty headbutt. Horus stumbled back, and the Emperor's lightning claw nearly took Orus's head off before his own claw caught it.
"Stop calling you Fate, huh? All right, Horus. You know what Fate's got planned for you, hmm? You're dead. That's what Fate wants to do with this old Pyrium. Smash it flat. Even if you beat me. Ugh. You're not gonna run the Pyrium. You's on the side of Fate. And Fate's gonna crump you in the end. You're just weak, Emperor. Too much gob flapping. Huh. I ain't the one with Orc-gar on me side."
Orus shoved the Emperor off of him, and the two orcs drew their weapons. Orus brought forth his spiky basha, World Crumper, and the Emperor drew his flaming chainsword, the Chopper of the Emperor. He had just finished naming all of the Primorcs when he named his chopper, and he was all out of ideas.
True.
The two weapons clashed, sparks shooting from the World Crumper as the Emperor's sword strained against the mighty basha. Meanwhile, Orkel Dorn...
I'm trying to get my camera to focus in. I don't know what's going on with the past couple of days. I think the spirit of my last camera has infested this one.
was running through the hallways of the vengeful Speargit. The teleporter got all mixed up and dropped him right in the middle of the vengeful Speargit's lavatorial facilities. To the orcs and Gretchen, who were unfortunate enough to be taking care of their business, Orkel Dorn tore through them, well, like toilet paper.
Ugh.
It wasn't long before he was on his way looking for the bridge.
I'm going to see if I can't fix this camera. Give me a minute. Alright, that should be a little bit better. Alright, here we go.
Snigismund, on the other hand, was still moving through ship after ship, slowly dueling each and every orc he came across in single combat. Snigismund was a terrible tactician, but his duelist abilities were unsurpassed. Now, sometimes the single combat was in extremely rapid succession in the form of many orcs trying to swarm him. And sometimes the enemy space barons leapt out of hiding to have a surprise duel. But as long as Snigismund kept thinking of these fights as dueling, he kept winning.
492. Right. Let's move on to the next cruiser for 493.
Gargiel Lukin and Grotolonius Pyle tried to make contact with Orkle and the Emprah.
What you mean they ain't on the Boomcephalus no more? I mean, they ain't on the Boomcephalus. They scrapping on the vengeful spear get with Horus. How? We's gotta get there now. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a few words with Horus myself. They call themselves the Spores of Horus these days. For me, I'll always be a loony squighound.
Back on the vengeful speargit, the Emperor and Horus smashed into each other, cleaving.
Do you hear this racket in the background? You're supposed to be napping. You're supposed to be taking a nap. Go back to sleep. Stop being loud.
And bashing into each other's armor. Blood was slowly beginning to seep from the rents in their armor. The two separated for a moment, breathing heavily.
You're big, Horus, but I'm bigger. Don't worry, you crump me yet. Is you feeling all that dumb, humy feeling stuff? You don't wanna crump your best boy.
The Emperor's face became stern and serious. He took a deep breath.
Maybe a little. I made you, and I knew you was me favourite Primarch. Except for maybe Sagrinius. You know what I mean? That kind of goes without saying. Yeah, everyone loves Sagrinius. But I wanted to see if one of me favourite boys was really as tough as I thought you might be.
Give me a second. I'm gonna go put her. She has this little. We call it the castle. I'm gonna go put her in her castle. Let her play a little bit because she seems like she's not gonna take a nap. Of course, the second I talk about taking her out and putting her up for letting her play for a little bit, she quiets down. And then when I open up her cage and take a look at her, she just looks up at me like, "Why are you bothering me? I'm trying to sleep." Yep.
And what'd you find out? Yeah, now no one can kill you, huh? After all this scrapping. No, Horus. You're big. But you're just a big git.
Horus roared and charged at the Emperor. The mighty Orc warlord in his resplendent gold mega armor, still shining through the grime and stain of battle, neatly sidestepped the attack from Horus, and his chainsword moved with blinding speed. And with one wet slice, the head of Horus Lutakill, mightiest of all Primarchs, War Master of Deperium, hit the deck of the vengeful speargit with an unceremonious thud. His body continued forward for a moment before its limbs lost coordination and fell to the ground. Just as the battle finished, Orkle entered the bridge and saw the Emperor with the bodies of Sadgrinius and Horus Lutakill lying beside him.
Emprah, you did it! Yep, I did it. I guess I punched fate in the face. You do not sound happy. You just crumped the guts. The rest of the Primarchs is here. We is gonna win the battle. I don't know, Orkle. Something just don't feel right. Zog, what the Zog is that?
From the viewports on the bridge, the Emperor could see an inquisitorial cruiser bearing down on the vengeful speargit.
Zog, we gotta get out of here.
We're close enough now. Shields up. Fire all weapons. Set the warp drive to go critical. We're ending this now. It's been a pleasure working with you, sir. Don't lie to me, Demetrius. And get to the savior pods, boy. What? You heard me. Get to the savior pod. Get the rest of the crew and get out of here. The weapons have auto-targeting, and I can pilot it in the rest of the way.
Why?
There's a chance you might yet live and serve the Emperor. Maybe you'll all die, but the reinforcement fleet is coming. Maybe some of you will be found. Maybe someone will remember what happened here. Go, Demetrius. The young acolyte gave the evacuation order, leaving Inquisitor Culcus to his fate. The Inquisitor sighed as he did his duty, and the shells began to tear into the vengeful Speargit just before the cruiser rammed into it. But there was something else. Culcus saw another ship moving towards him. None other than the Sneaky Grabber.
Gargiel! Gargiel, looking! What is it, Groton? Grotamamulus, Grotalonius Paul! The name's way too long for a grot. No, look! That Humie cruiser! It's Fragga the Vengeful Speargit! That's good, ain't it? The Emperor's on that ship! Full thrusters! Crump him! Crump him! For the Emperor! For the Imperium! Whoa!
The light Grot cruiser fired its boosters and made to intercept the inquisitorial vessel, firing every scrap of dakka it had before plowing into the stern of the ship. The Sneaky Grabber was not enough to stop the forward momentum of the craft, but it deflected the impact slightly, turning the inquisitorial vessel so it was unable to ram directly into the vengeful Speargit. But the tiny scrap-built Grot cruiser was crushed between the bodies of the larger ships. But the warp engines were going critical. They had only delayed the inevitable. It was not long before the ships were suddenly engulfed in a massive warp explosion that tore apart what remained of the vessels. And that was the end of the Emprah. Or we hope it was.
Oh.
The remaining Orc forces continued the fight. Many of our pods were destroyed in the crossfire. The Orcs were looking for a fight, but they weren't the Emperor's children or the Night Lords. They weren't interested in picking off weak and helpless targets. They were in it for the fight. The battle turned in the favor of the Loyalists for a while, but eventually the Imperial Expeditionary Fleet arrived, and by that point, most of the Orc fleets had been reduced to floating fields of debris. They began to mop the mess up. I don't have an official tally of what targets were eliminated and which ones are still at large. You'll have to speak to Imperial High Command for that. But to the best of my knowledge, I believe the Orc warlord, designated the Emperor, and his Prime Orc, designated Orus Lutakill, have been eliminated. By the Emperor, I hope they're truly gone. After the battle, Maggie de Redden and Landmine Rust crash-landed their battered cruiser onto the surface of Earth.
That was a right fine bit of scrapping. But what do we do now? We ain't got a big war no more without the Emperor. I've been thinking. Malgadok told us the Emperor's big plan, right? Or make the Imperium, make the Yomies do boring stuff that Orcs don't want to do, and then we fight Spiky Gets for the best scraps in the galaxy, just like old Tusker Demon Killer. Yeah, but the Emperor is gone. Yeah, but I ain't, and I think I'm weird boy enough to make this work. Yeah, I'll keep the portal open, and me brain makes the big light telling the Orcs to come here for the best fight in the galaxy. So, we keeps the Emperor's dream going. I think I like that. See if you can open a portal into the Corn Git's house. I want to crump his red boys.
And so, that was the way it happened. The Emperor and Orkle Dawn vanished. Many of the Primorcs went missing, though some formed small orc empires of their own. The Imperial Task Force had its work cut out for it, but they were no longer taking on a full-blown orc war. It would be slow going, but normalcy was returning to the subsector. Earth remained a heavily fortified, nigh untouchable orcish bastion. The Crump Stody still remained, and Landmine Rust and Maggie de Redden continued to ably defend the planet from all attacks. Between Landmine's martial prowess and Maggie's unmatched weird boy powers, they essentially made the planet more trouble than it was worth to conquer, or even get close enough to Exterminatus. There was an odd consequence to this, though. When Maggie sat on the green throne and opened the portal so the orcs could fight demons, navigators in that subsector could see another guiding light in the madness of the Empyrean.
Oh, God.
It had the odd quirk of helping make Imperial warp travel in the area much faster and safer. The other odd thing was, it was discovered that when Earth was threatened by Imperial forces, the light would go out as Maggie and Landmine would leave their eternal battles to defend Earth. This upset navigators, as they were becoming accustomed to using the light as a guidepost in that region of space. And the
Nice.
navigators were actually able to influence the Imperial top brass to leave Earth alone, refusing to warp jump anywhere near that place. It was no Astronomicon, which stretched out across 90,000 light years, nearly covering the entire Milky Way galaxy with its glorious light, at least before the coming of the Great Rift. And the Great Green Light covered a mere 3,000 light years. But it still vastly increased trade and travel in that area, as long as the orcs were allowed to congregate around Earth and fight the big fight. And that is the story of the Emprah so far. The boys still sometimes gather round the fire with mugs full of grog and sing songs of the Great Green Crusade and tell stories of the Emperor. And some say he's still flying through the galaxy, trying to punch fate in the face. Perhaps he is. Perhaps Orkle Dawn is still by his side. The chance is slim. The warp engine explosion was massive and nigh inescapable. But many still believe. And you know how orcs are when it comes to what they believe. War the Emperor. War the Imperium. Noman do they call me. My mother and my father, and all...
Excellent series. Excellent series. He has one more a couple of smaller shorts that I'm going to check out. But in all cases, I have enjoyed this series. It's just a fun little thing, little side item into this wacky ridiculousness of 40K that we all love. I'm going to put his Patreon information down below next to mine. And I will see you guys on the next one where I wrap up the shorts that he did, join the Astra Milligraten. And then I'll be moving on to another series and a couple of other videos. Our work is continuing on the lore videos for Mistakes of the Emperor, and I'm going to be writing the next 5-minute lore pretty soon as well. And that one is going to cover... you guys will figure it out in a little while. I'll catch you guys later.